That's a human, cause everything. Woke up this morning, I smile at the rising sun. I hope for 1,000 subscriber. I got 1,001. They singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and clear. They singing, this is my hobby right here. I singing, don't worry about a thing. Even though you rolled a one, we're still going to sing it. You know how it is. I always sing at the beginning to waste everybody's time. Hope for 1,000 subscriber. I got 1,001. Someone asked me why I always waste so much time at the beginning of the damn stream. It's so that everybody can file in. It's just like you don't want to just start firing bullets right out of you. You want to set it up, right? So you sing, woke up this morning, I smile at the rising sun. Cheers, Hunter. Hope for 1,000 subscriber. I got 1,001 singing sweet songs. A melody's pure and clear. And singing, this is my hobby right here. Und hier, und hier, und hier, und hier, und hier, und hier, und here. Okay. Whew. You know what? It went from freezing cold to hot. Because climate change is real, facts matter, and science is here. Bitches. Hello, everybody. Greetings, everyone. Buenas noches et bonsoir. Shalom. Kalispera. Hi, guys. Nanun miguk. Nanam. Saram imnida. Nanun miguk. Saram imnida. Yeah. Hankrin Fernale here. That's me, Ingrid Bernal. Salut. Hola. Ciao. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Drunkards and Dragons. This is the channel where we're talking about D&D like every damn week. And in a turn of freakish, unpredictable consistency, I'm throwing down live streams early Friday. So we got topics, we got things, we've got methodologies is a word that came at me this week. Methodologies. I'm here to discuss serious methodologies. I thought that was kind of funny. Like methodologies is a really fucking serious word. There you go. There's the first F-bomb of the night. Show's not for kids. Get the kids in the other room. Lower the temperature of that room extremely. They'll just go into a deep freeze. They won't be able to move their joints. The cartilage will just freeze solid. The children will not be able to move. Couple hours, thaw them out. Be like nothing ever happened. Chicken nuggets. Thank you, Hunter. Appreciate that shit. Go. What's that Zack Snyder thing? Isn't it like they took a really bad movie and made it longer? Is that what that is? Woke up this morning. Hi, everybody. 70 of you crazy knuckleheads already in the room. I'm bathing in white nuclear fire. The sun is out. Spring is here. The equinox is in the rearview mirror at this point. And we are also in the spring of human culture on the planet Earth. Hello to everybody around the world. South America, Russia, Asia, all of North America, Canadienzos. Hola, mi amigos. All those peeps. Hello, everybody. My Australian homies. What's up? The Kiwis. How you doing? Yo. All right. So, what's the deal? It's Friday night. We're here to talk about some shit. Okay, let's talk about the easy stuff first. That way, I'll postpone the more in-depth content till later. And that way, all the people who don't really like watching me on YouTube will get more aggravated. All right. 1,000 subscriber. 1,000 subscriber. Now, it's a little bit out of style nowadays to to talk about subscribers and be like, you guys, we hit 375K. It's like, all right, like you watch a TV show, they don't tell you how many people are watching the TV show, right? Because of class. But in this particular case, holy crap. When I started Patreon was relatively young, at least in my view. I think generally, 5 years ago or so? Patreon was pretty young. So just to be a bit of a self-troll, I set a ludicrous goal that I figured I would never reach, which was 1,000 patrons. Thanks to reasons I can't fully comprehend. Faust, yo, what's up, dude? Guten Tag, my man. Or Guten Nacht. I'm not sure which it is over there. Could be Tag, could be Nacht. Tag, Nacht. Who knows? Anyway, as of yesterday, I hope for 1,000 patrons. I got 1,001. We're probably a little bit past that now. There's been a little bit of a burst because of this OSE embracement that has been occurring. So I think maybe one thing, so Nacht. Yeah, Nacht ist gut. Ist mir gut. I don't speak any of the languages that I pretend to speak. I just try to remember the words. So, yeah, doing the whole OSE thing definitely opened the audience up a little bit. I think maybe like my extreme stance of DIY indie-ness was off-putting to some. Or maybe a barrier to discovery is maybe a better way to put it. So when I discovered Old School Essentials, which I basically discovered it by downloading the PDF. I didn't want to spend the money, but I knew I wanted to play something a little more essentialist, you might say, and I bumped into that. And so not only OSE is kind of coming up into my weekly conversation because the game that I'm running, which is like, that's when you really need to learn a thing, right? You got to show people a good time. You got to know what you're fucking doing. But also it brought me into a bigger fold of people, of readers and of players. And for that, I'm really grateful and it's really exciting. But I got to tell you guys, this conversation about the word old school, the term old school, the generalization of what went on in the past and that it's a useful describer of a certain type of play and stuff like this. It's not over. It's not over. I don't want to live in the old school. I was there for the old school and I've left that far behind. I barely survived the early 2000s. And I mean, literally. So having survived the past, like the old phrase that my man Double A always says, getting old ain't for sissies, right? This is a real deal. And so as a person who wants to own my present moment, I don't want to think about being in the old school. No, the old school had so many weaknesses. This is the new school. This is the powerful now. And so I know that a lot of these ideas go back, but you've heard my entire conversation about this stuff. I'm just saying, join me in precision language concerning what's old and new and making generalizations about people. That's all I'm saying. Because whether you're a he or a she, you're both, you're neither, or you're a they or a them, everybody's welcome here. As I've always said, humans, that's what's going to stick together. Human beings, we're going to stick together. I don't care how weird looking you may be or how good looking, right? We're going to stick together and we're going to do this damn hobby, and that's how it's going to be. All right. So as for this old school thing, puts a little burr in my saddle, puts a little wrinkle in my shorts, but I'm going to keep going nonetheless. Drinking mead. It's Friday. 1,000 subscriber on Patreon. It's crazy. Now, don't think that I'm somehow now rolling in dough, because that is not the case. Remember, I keep my Patreon at the minimum level, which is one smackaroli, one greenback, and one ducat. So it's good for paying rent, but that's about it. The hobby continues. It's not like I'm catapulting into some freaking realm of unimagined yachting. I'm not yachting yet, but mark my words, I will be yachting. 1,000 subscribers. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support, and even for throwing a buck in. Thank you so much. I appreciate the hell out of that shit. It means so much because it helps me to keep going. And there are other people just like me out there that a lot of you guys know about that I have been slowly discovering, because my brain is more like a rock than like a sponge. And so the absorption is slow. So tonight I wanted to talk about something that I have been slowly absorbing. And it's part of this sort of change. Now, it may seem like, whoa, Runehammer, bro, You've been like diehard DIY this whole time. How come you're now stumbling into another 3-letter acronym, namely OSE, and like leaving your DIY behind and all this stuff? Like, no, don't exaggerate. Not doing that. We use the base core of OSE and we instantly start making up rules. Oh God, I hit the equipment. So the DIY continues, the indie continues, but it's just sort of around this exciting new core. And I think basically it has brought me back from the brink of really sort of just wanting to wander off back into weirdo land. Like, you know, like back in the day, it was like Rifts and GURPS and TMNT, and that was like weirdo land, while all of the quote unquote normal nerds were hanging out playing D&D. It was in weirdo land, and I almost just kind of did that. I was like, you know, the spells and the swords and the same old monsters and all this stuff. I just like, meh. I think we've all gone through phases like that, right? If we've been in the hobby a long time. And there I was, but something just brought me the hell back. And in part, obviously, the work of Exalted Funeral and Necrotic Gnome and their creation in Old School Essentials. They have a new Kickstarter up. Go back it. Looks dope. If you're into Kickstarters, I don't do the Kickstarter thing. I feel that Kickstarter it's like giving a kid a B before you know what they do on the test. You know, the kid says, I am going to score so high on this math test. And the teacher's like, that seems pretty believable. I mean, you make a good case. Here you go. You take the test tomorrow, but here's the A, right? So I'm not into that. I think Kickstarter has created a very strange inverted value proposal that's based on FOMO. And that is odd to me. More power to all people using Kickstarter, rock on. But as an audience person, as a fan, I'm going to hang back. It's just like when you go surfing, right? You really don't want to be in that big group of people that tries to catch those waves, you know, toward the early part of the morning, even though they are pretty tasty. You kind of just want to lay back and like start feeling a little bit, see what's going on, where the sea urchins are, you know what I'm saying? Like to get real with it. And then, you know, catch some of those later ones. They may be a little bit smaller, but you can have a good time. You can have a good day. What's up? Okay. So I want to get some boogeymen out of the closet before I talk about tonight's topic, which is what I'm calling the Milton Method. And probably some of you guys already know what I'm going to talk about. You're maybe realizing like I'm turning into a bit of a fanboy here. I don't care. I'm going to be a fan. I think it's like fundamental to being creative and being awesome is being a fan. You got to be a fan of the shit you're doing. You can't be like, you remember like the second half of the Katy Perry documentary where she's like really bummed out and she's not digging doing the concerts no more. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to roll like that. That looks like painful shit. That looks uncomfortable. I want to be a fan of my own stuff. I don't want to be like Katy Perry when she's looking all sad. You know, then she got happy later because she's hooking up with Legolas. So that's a cool, happy ending to that. But moving on. All right, the boogeyman I want to get out of the closet. Brace yourself. Yo, Damien, what up? Yeah, man, yachting. All right, Chet's back there moving around. He had a big day. The boogeyman. So as I'm sort of talking about this stuff, just being myself, yo, boogeyman come out. What's with all these boogeymen, yo? There's boogeymen all over the internet. It's so crazy. And you know what? One of them was started, and I'm not going to zero in on this, but I think I might have mentioned this last week. Dude posts up, says, yo, I like my new dice. Like 50 people tell him why his dice suck. Fuck this. I'm out. You know, I'm walking away from that group. Screw that shit. If you say you're into some stuff and you're just like, hey, I'm psyched. Check out the Mighty Herculoids. I love this cartoon. People be like, Hanna-Barbera animation sucked back then. There's not enough frame rate. You're like, what? I was just trying to say, I thought, you know, like that rhino shoots the bean out was kind of dope. They're like, no, that shit's crap. What the fuck? And the boogeyman is this supposed like quality factor, right? Like people know something about quality that you don't know. And so they're going to hit you with it. You're like, yo, man, I like these dice. I got them like my dude down the street made them. They'll be like, those dice are shit. I know some shit you don't even know about. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this boogeyman attitude. And you know where else it's going? And this is weird, you guys. We're in the late stage of 5th edition D&D now. People who play 5e, which are totally normal D&D people. These are our people. This is hobby people. They're being evoked. They're being conjured up like impish demons in all these arguments as if there's some kind of describable group. I hope everyone realizes there are like millions of people playing 5th edition D&D. There is no way to describe the group of people playing 5th edition D&D or the games they're playing or what they're like or what their mechanics are like or what their DMs are like or what their monsters, their challenge level, their schedule, their dice rolling habits, any of it. No description will capture what 5e D&D players are like because it's millions of individual humans like you and me who are all different. But you get into an argument and this boogeyman gun come up. Oh, well, 5e players, they drink their Slurpees out of spoons and shit. Like, how messed up is that? I like it out of a straw. And I'll be like, what? Dude's eating the Slurpee with a spoon? Well, in my day, the spoon was on the end of the straw. And those who know what I'm talking about. That shit was hype. But anyways, that's a bit of a digression. These boogeymen don't exist, yo. Like, there are 5e players who are some kind of weirdos and jerks and like in some kind of cult and they're mean. But that's somebody. That's not everybody. Every group has every possible permutation. These generalizations are killing me. And so people are like, oh man, Hankerin, you're always fucking hounding us about this generalization stuff. And it's because a lot of times I get lumped into this shit. Yo, I played 5e for like 4 years straight. Does that put me in this group where it's like 5e players, a bunch of weirdos who are all cultish and play really slow and they like worship grids and shit? I'm like, what? We never did that. I don't even know if we knew about grids. It's like the other day, I was telling people, oh man, I love playing GURPS. And they told me like how the core mechanic of GURPS was. I think it might even been AA. And I was like, wait a minute. No, that's not how it worked. I look it up. We played it wrong the whole damn time. We played like 3 different source books of GURPS wrong. And that's okay. And it just goes to show that if you say something is related to this, and it doesn't just say generalizations, it's also generations. People are trying to do this bullshit, calling young people snowflakes and shit. But the people saying that, the accusers, they're the snowflakes. They're the butthurt ones. You can't identify people from when they were born. It's just complete bullshit. I mean, except that I'm a Libra. I identify with that shit. But as like a generation, you're damn right I'm part of Gen X. Fuck yeah. I mean, check me out. I got a black t-shirt playing D&D. I'm on the YouTubes. I'm kind of skeptical. I'd rather not mow the lawn, but I ride my bicycle. I'd say hail Satan, but in a positive way. That's Gen X, right? Winona Ryder's pretty dope. So I'm in Gen X. But if you say something about Gen X and it doesn't describe me, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? So as a self-descriptor, we can all make our own generalizations about ourselves, but to conjure these boogeymen up about some shit somebody knows about some gigantic group is BS. I'm done ranting. Let's just put that shit on the shelf. Woo! All right. Yeah, old people, take that. Exactly. And that's a perfect example, right? Because age does not lead to this generationism. Because there's cool people in every generation, all the way to 110 years old, all the way to 1 year old. So it doesn't even go, it goes in neither direction. It just doesn't work. It's just verbal flotsam. It's garbage. Spend your time talking about cooler shit and quit conjuring up these boogeymen on my ass, killing my buzz. Yeah. It's like saying people in different countries don't get along. That's some bullshit. Yo, let's like one love on this planet. I mean, the governments tend to be kind of assholes, but that's like perennial. That's how it's always been. But people all over the world get along. And if you haven't had the privilege of knowing people in different countries and stuff like that, it's fucking awesome. And it's very simple. You just connect on a human level. There's no BS. It's fine. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe in boogeymen. Moving on. We're 20 minutes into this stream. I haven't talked about anything yet. Tonight, I'm drinking the last of my Grenfell case. You guys, Grenfell mead is the shit. It is so dang good. Oh my God. Go get Grenfell mead. You're going to love it. It's so hot today. It's like 80 degrees. It was like 40 degrees 3 days ago. Like, this planet is so pissed off at us. Okay, let's talk about the core topic tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Almost 200 of you showing up to chill. What's up, y'all? Thank you, everybody, for the Patreon support. Oh, my God. I'm just on cloud nine right now. Like, Viking Death Squad is coming along great. You guys, I'm going to finally crack this, like, e-commerce, like, retail kind of nut. I'm not going to depend on drive-through quite so much anymore. I'm going to get my own store going so you can get, like, my dope prismatic stickers that I make and leather-bound books that I'm going to be making and fracture art that I'm doing, like some of my art printed on glass and canvas art and stuff. It's going to be hot. So it's all thanks to you guys throwing down with the support so I can experiment with new media and branch out, because I'm just one dude in this little room up in Philly, PA, having a beer and like hoping to like get a hot dog later. I'm thinking about a hot dog. All right. So as far as the hobby tonight, that's enough garbage to get everybody started, get everybody's energy up. So, you know, take a little slug if you got one. I think everybody's here. Let's get into the juicy zone. And if you see me like looking down here to the left, it's kind of creepy, right? That's because I'm looking at my notes. And you know my old philosophy, my old adage, the more notes you got, the smarter you must be. So if you're looking at your notes, it's like, ooh, look at this. I thought of something ahead of time. Must be brilliant. All right. So that's what's going on. On that notebook tip. So every week I'm trying to get in a habit of maybe, you know, throwing a shout out to a high quality product out there that maybe y'all want to take a look at. Right now, it's the World Building Notebook over on Swordfish Islands. So go to Swordfish Islands, go to their online store and check out their World Building notebook. I just ordered one. It looks dope. I love how it's a blank journal with different types of page backgrounds and page numbers. This seems very rudimentary to have a journal with page numbers, but journals never have page numbers. This one does. Anyway, super cool. It looks really dope. It's got like a flaming sword on the cover. So I just grabbed one. It just looks great. And by the way, everything on Swordfish Islands is really cool. And that leads us right to where we are tonight. The Milton Method. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with Questing Beast, otherwise known as my man, Ben Milton. So since the other night when he invited me to come and chat with him and Trent from Miscast, who is also like straight on fire, it's so fun to talk with such creative people and even to be invited, honestly. I mean, I'm like a miscreant. You guys know that, right? I am a delinquent in the realm of creative discipline. I'm like a dude with the hoodie who's like, you know, like smoking like a freaking like tumbleweed in the corner because I don't know what's going on. And I have like a weird, like meat flavored lollipop and, you know, like a half ripped apart teddy bear in the back pocket. You know, and I got like this ratty spiral notebook and I'm kind of looking for a way out. That's me among these other creative people who have such discipline and control. And it's fantastic. So it was great to be invited. Anyway, since then, I'm like, yo, I don't know that much about Ben and I need to go peep some shit. So I started lurking this fool and looking deeper into his creations. And I was just like, whoa, this dude gets it. Gets what, Hankrin? You should be asking. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. What is it that gives Questing Beast these chops? Now you guys can go look it up and figure out all the cool things that he's published, and he's definitely on a roll, and he's right in the heart of the old school, the OSR as they call it. And he doesn't seem to have an issue with the term old school because he just embraces it and goes with it. So that's going to definitely lubricate the wheels for his creativity, unlike me with my cactus in my butt about old school. But he just goes with it. And at first I was just like, this OSR stuff, it feels so gimmicky. But I take a closer look and I'm telling you guys, this stuff is closer to how I've been doing everything all along, 5th edition and beyond, than anything else. I still don't like calling it old school, but the way that they're making their stuff, and I want to talk about it tonight. All right, first thing, get this cactus out this butt, because maybe I'm going to have to embrace the term old school because this is how I do a lot of shit. In Ben's latest creation, The Waking of Willoughby Hall, which go get it. It's $15. It's on Swordfish Islands. It's a little sort of zine style adventure. And he lays down the essentials in the first 2 pages between page 8 and page 9. So there's, some maps, some credits and stuff before that. You open up the spread of page 8 and page 9, and he locks this shit down. It's so dope. Now, a lot of us know about like one-page adventures and sort of like Lasers and Feelings being one of the great leaders, right? Like this kind of one-page thing that not only kind of gets you excited and gets your wheels turning, but also just grounds you. Just your feet touch the magnetic earth of the adventure and you feel it and you're ready to like say your first line. You're ready to pick up your sword and do whatever the fuck, right? I love that effect. And Ben has it really here. And I want to just call out one of Ben's techniques, just word for word, to get started. So the very first thing, he does not tell you where you are and what's going on in a way that's nebulous and cheesy and vapid, like myself and many others tend to do on accident. His first statements are yesterday, blah, 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 blah. This morning, blah, 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 blah. And only moments ago, blah, 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 blah. So you could do yesterday, bugbears entered the town. And then this morning, the town, the fires are subsiding and the bugbears are nowhere to be seen. And only moments ago, the sun began to set and the first bugbear was spotted in the smoke. It gives you a micro history, namely one day. Then this morning, the aftermath of the one day history, and then an untold number of hours since morning until right now. And moments ago, the thing happened that we are going to engage at the beginning of the adventure. Now, Ben's thing is not about bugbears in a burnt out town. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because that's for you to discover. But I love this freaking technique of setting things up. And a lot of us actually do this once we're into a campaign. Like basically you say at the end of last session, that's yesterday, then this morning, what they're facing, the situation, and then only moments ago, and then you pop it. You pop something off. It's either going to be bait or a threat, or you're going to close them in, right? You're going to bring your trap theory to bear. The moments ago one is like really when you bring it all in, you mute the music. What do you do, right? That's another famous method, is kind of apply these three pieces of history. Yesterday, this morning, and moments ago, what do you do? So those are just nice, tight little verbal cues that I recommend giving it a try. They're short enough, you can write them in your journal. And they're just, I don't know, something about it feels good. I must be a noob for just now discovering this, but it's very similar to when I discovered the 5-room dungeon and shit my pants. It's so freaking simple from roleplayingtips.com. It's so simple, and some would say obvious, but I don't care if it's obvious. That's just like saying cheddar cheese is good. Sometimes you take a piece of cheddar cheese, you put it in your mouth, you're just like, hot damn on a candied yam. That's tasty. That doesn't make you dumb. It just makes you in a constant state of discovery, which I have been critiqued for living that way by my significant other, that I live in a constant state of discovery. That is truly being a 3-thumbed weirdo with an extra sleeve in your shirt. Yeah, Perkins, thank you, brother. That is such a fantastic tip. This same kind of wordplay can be used to create travel. You know, travel is oh my God, I'm so tired of it. It's like a bulb in your garden that you thought you dug up and it just keeps growing. You don't want tulips. They just keep showing up. It's the same with, how do I make my travel cool? And I'm just like, oh man, just get over it. Do a montage. You know, play an 80s song and you're the best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring you down. You're the best around. And your whole party just got to town. There you go. You're done. But you make a good point, which is like yesterday, you guys departed from Castle Evermoon. This morning, you were exiting the forest, finally free of all those shadows. But moments ago, the dwarves you betrayed weeks ago appear from the mist. What is that? I don't know. Just made it up. But dang if it doesn't work. And instead of worrying about this part of travel, you worry about this part, and then boop, this part, which is the pop. And once that pop happens, we're ready to play. So that to me is the first pillar of the Milton Method. It's brilliant. I want to do it more in my games. I'm going to do it. It's just like, I want to do these punches. I want to do these basic punches until I know karate. And this is one of them. This is an exercise you can just do over and over and over. In my world, it's kind of like locations, obstacles, and goals. It's kind of how I throw it down. But this is even more specific, and it takes even less like creative horsepower, which we all want to do, because, you know, I got like 3 pebbles rattling around in here. You know, I need the easiest possible path to coolness. Perpetual stubble, both of them are terrible. So there's this whole thing with those places. They're both crummy. You want to get the best cheesesteak in Philly, you got to go to the hidden spots, yo. You got to go to Cedar Point Kitchen. That's where that's at. You know what I mean? Ooh, don't get me started. I'm not going to tell you where they are, because that's where I'm going to hang out. But yeah, these whiz with cheesesteaks that people talk about, it's just like all things that tourists do. They suck. Local man despises generalizations, makes giant one. All right, yo. That's my first Milton Method thing to take notes on. All right, you want to do this. Yesterday, boop happened. A starship crapped in the jungle. This morning, spiders have covered the starship in webs, but only moments ago, a gigantic one has appeared behind the palm trees. There you go. You see how it's just like 1, 2, 3, and then pop, let's play. Totally works. Pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 and 3 are about the world and about the peeps. So first of all, Ben, you're cool, man. 1, because of this setup technique. It's very, as far as like practicality goes, it's somewhat esoteric. It's in the thinky part of the DM brain. Now let's get down to the practical part of the DM brain, because we all know the more experienced you are as a DM, the less you wind up focusing on preparation and esoterics, and the more you focus on being skilled in the moment. Because especially if you're running multiple games per week, that is where your time goes. You got that day job, though. You know what I mean? Even if you got hobby jobby, you know, you still are putting like your maximum energy into those moments. Especially if you believe some of the recent crap I've been spewing about the essence of the game, which is that it lives at the table and nowhere else. So you don't want a bunch of big prep esoterica, even though it's totally fun and totally awesome. But that's a different conversation. So Ben's first pillar covers us. We get a setup. Now we're not quite sure. Like, let's go back to my burnt out village with bugbears. I know I'm going to need a bugbear to battle. I mean, that's gonna frickin' happen. And I probably need some kind of like a keeper, or maybe there's a weird cult, because there's always a frickin' cult in D&D that's worshiping the bugbears, and they don't want you to hurt the bugbears. So there's my other thing. I'm going to need this weird hooded dude who's got like a bugbear insignia that he's like sewn onto his robe. And then I've got the actual bugbears. And so I'm needing some peeps. I'm needing some monsters, some enemies. I also need the village. I need to know at least something descriptively, or maybe even visually, about the space of this burned out village. And here is where Ben continues to flex his method, which I don't know Ben quite yet as a homie, but my guess is that he's got years under his belt, because it kind of shows. So let's talk space first. Ben jumps into the classic sort of, I don't know if it's called classic, but the standard OSR line. But kind of like how Gavin from Necrotic Gnome does such a good job, I like how Ben words some of this stuff. It's very simple, where he's like, yo, this adventure doesn't have a plot. I fucking love that. That is so tasty. How has it taken me this long to just to have somebody tell me, yo, this adventure ain't got no plot? Because I'm not looking for a plot. My players make the plot happen. What he does for space, for the lay of the land, is to just provide a space, to set up a sandbox with no G.I. Joes in it, and not say what's happening. Maybe there's a little bit of something happening, like, yeah, the death ray is going to be complete in fucking 5 days and it's going to blast this sandbox into oblivion. That's my plot. Actually, it was a weather control device, but let's not split hairs, shall we? Let's not be gatekeepers for the original G.I. Joe miniseries. Anyways, your adventure don't need no plot. So the whole thing with the bugbears attacking the village, right? The village burns. In the morning, it's smoldering. Everybody thinks the bugbears are gone, but then another one appears. Okay, that's our sort of a case right now, our example. I'm going to need a little bit of a lay of the land on the village, and I don't just want a bunch of arbitrary huts and alleys and streets. We all know there's going to be some huts and some buildings. It's a freaking village. But let's throw something interesting in, like a big river. And at the edge of the river, there's kind of like a drop off. Like, this isn't just like a placid kind of river. This is like a river in the Northwest where there's like a 14-foot drop and it's rocky and there's rapids and stuff. Okay. Now, if you're a creative player right away, you want to know where that river is, how far away it is, and if you can use it somehow to your advantage, right? Just like, remember when Rambo jumped off that shit? Also in the Northwest, Rambo jumped off that shit, landed in that pine tree, got that big old cut on right on his biggest muscle because Rambo. But if it weren't for that ravine, Rambo would have got caught. So, like, there's a village, there's a ravine. Zip, I'm done as the DM as far as like what's going on here. And that, that first bugbear is appearing in the smoke. That's it. That's the fucking plot. Right? Nell Tull. Nell Tull's not a fan. Doesn't like Rambo. Which system am I shitting on? Remind me? Oh, whatever. Anyways, that ravine is all you need to describe. Not necessarily that, maybe the bugbears come from the ravine. The cave is in the ravine, and they're coming from the ravine because they've been agitated by the star-fallen meteor of Bozar. Right? And now we're starting to get it. And yeah, somebody tried to hide the fact that the meteor of Bozar is actually agitating the bugbears. And the fact that this guy sort of tried to hide it, created some political intrigue in the town. And this daughter who was supposed to inherit the mayorship of the town is no longer get the mayorship because, that's starting to feel like a plot. And then where do my players get in there? So, Nell, I'm not quite sure what I did wrong. I didn't mean to shit on your systems, but I'm not really talking about systems. I'm talking about my revelations with play. Yo, Cribbie D's in the spot. Yeah, so here we go. Sources of conflict. We have that. We've got some burnt out buildings and we got bugbears that seem angry. At the beginning of the session, I might not even know why they're angry, but what I do need to know is where that river is. There's a couple buildings, there's some fire, and there's everything. Now, to a lot of you, this should seem drop dead obvious. Like, guys, like old Nell Tull there, like maybe you just want me to go to hell and like nothing I say is useful. What is it? Unsubscribe. Nothing you say is useful and you shit on my favorite systems. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I would love it if it seemed like, yo, Hankerin, why are you saying obvious stuff? You used to like come up with all this shit, right? Like timers and room design and stuff like that. It's because I am rediscovering this freaking hobby. I don't know about you guys, but the last year and a half playing on Roll20 almost like pushed it out of my brain. Some of the things that happen at the table and some of the fundamentals. And I am coming out of this cave like a bear that's been asleep for a year. I don't know if you guys are feeling that feeling, but I'm feeling it. And I'd like to say the tone of this channel is changing from like a how-to, because you guys know my motto, you got to play mode better than you used to, right? And here's how, because I've been playing forever. And let me give you some tips. I'm past that stage. There are so many people who have come out of the woodwork in the past 5 years to drop super dope knowledge about our hobby. I can no longer in good conscience tell you how to do anything. There are so many smarter people, but what I can report to you without dispute is what's happening to me in my hobby. And it's discovering stuff like this. I do have plots in my adventures, or used to, more so. I didn't do gold as XP. I didn't do that. I didn't rely that much on player initiative because every player group is different. And I hadn't quite found this sweet spot. So between the events of life and discovering some of these sort of, I guess you could call OSR materials, I'm having these revelations. So, Nell, I'm sorry that, maybe she is already gone. And that's too bad. I don't mean to poop on anybody's fun. I'm literally describing my own revelations. I'm not like forcing revelations on you guys. So this is the Ben Milton pillar number 2. Number 1 is that dope setup technique. Number 2 is this sense of like, all you need is some space and something that's going to vibrate that space, namely enemies is usually the most obvious one. And then like something interesting. And oh man, there's the great Apocrypha. So if you guys haven't read the old Apocrypha PDF, it's from a few years ago. Wonderful stuff about how the best challenges are like crossing a river of crocodiles, not hitting a skeleton with a stick. They're multifaceted problems that involve things more than a single die roll. And so you don't set your games up asking for die rolls. A lot of DMs, I know this, get hung up on what die rolls to ask for and how hard they're going to be and planning it ahead of time. Just let it go, man. Just let it go, baby. It's gone. It's floating. See that? There it goes. There goes all your prep. It's just floating off. And all you're seeing is this village. There's a river, but there's kind of like a steep kind of ravine around the river. Ooh, that's interesting. And the bugbears are not gone. They've not only burned out the village, they want something else. You don't even know what yet. You're going to listen to your first player guess and pick up on it and kick it from there. Okay, so yeah, and a lot of people call this a narrative method and stuff like this. I think even the word narrative has become pejorative lately. People or like, have you heard this boogeyman about story gaming? Like there's like running down folks for playing a game that's focused on description and doesn't have enough mechanical guts. And it's called story gaming. I kind of knew about this a few years ago, but I thought it would just go away. It has not gone away. So if you say like, hey, yeah, in my game, we barely even really play OSE. We kind of just use the core of it and we make up a lot of the details as we go. It's like a bunch of story gaming bullshit. It's just like me saying, yo, I like this vegan cheeseburger over there. And they're just like, you're a dumbass, man. I know some shit about good cheeseburgers you're never going to know. Just get these boogeyman. Get these boogeymen. They're bothering me. I don't like it. I want everybody to just have a good time and hold hands, just like that old Paul McCartney song, Hands Across the Water. Anyways, it's Friday night, you guys. Pillar number 3, the peeps. The peeps. Let me go forward here in my thing here. Don't even get me started on how fun Ben's like encounter tables are. And they're also so minimalistic and clean. They're almost rememberable. Like, they're not just all over the place, all these different encounter possibilities. It's just like verp. There's 3 possible states as the environment unfolds, and use them or don't use them, whatever. Yeah, gatekeeping sucks. I'm sorry to keep on kind of, swirling back into that, but that's what I call the boogeymen. Gatekeeping, I don't like that term either. I'm just a picky motherfucker, all right? I'm a picky ass RPG hobby bitch. And I don't like all this stuff. All right. Number 3, the peeps. So this, I think, is like Ben grabbed me with that intro technique. I was interested. Then when I saw how he's laying out his space and not really hitting me with a sense of events, just a space, I was just like, okay, you got me. But then when he breaks down his people, his both NPCs and monsters, which kind of are blurred, another brilliant piece I hadn't even noticed until I just said that. That's when you really see this person's mastery, Ben's mastery of not only of OSE as his game core, but what he needs at the table to look down really quickly and play for an hour. And I'm just going to quote him again. He basically will do a keyword and then personality and then wants. Now he's got other stuff in there, but let's talk about this. Keyword, personality, and wants. Who gatekeeps the gatekeepers? Me, dude. Me. That's who, Park. What's up? Alfonso, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, y'all got to realize, like, these streams aren't necessarily my quote unquote content. I've decided it's more important for me to just be vocal on Friday. It's because I became a fan of people on YouTube, and I know the feeling of just having this voice in the background. It's nice. It's nice, and I want to serve that function. Again, like, being a fan is the root of creativity, I think. Like, you're a fan of something, and so you're less hard on yourself. You know, I love how much work some of these YouTube creators put into their videos. And for a long time, I felt like my shit sucked because I didn't put all that work in. I didn't want to anymore. I edited and meticulously created videos literally for years straight, and it was constant. And I wanted to just be myself and talk a little more. And I was beating myself up about it. And I was like, there's any point for me to be on YouTube at all? And then I started watching more YouTubers and feeling that soothing sensation of a voice while I'm working on something else. And just like, I want to do that. I want to be like that. And I just want to let it out. Until we're going to get together more, this is all we got, yo. I think within the year, we might be seeing each other and hugging each other more than now. But for now, this is it. Man, the digressions tonight. I'm so bad. The peeps. All right, we're talking keyword. We're talking personality, and we're talking wants. Okay, your keyword wraps up basically your stuff. So usually an NPC or a monster has stuff, right? What we commonly call a stat block. If you could look at a stat block and sum it up in a word, what would it be? So let's pick an example. How about a doppelganger? A doppelganger is a classic D&D monster that is relatively complex, honestly, to run in a game. It has a lot of different sort of magical capabilities. It can imitate people, and then it can use different capabilities to attack from its sort of imitation point of view. And this is reduced into various statistics and capabilities that some would need to know. But for me, that keyword is going to be, master of disguise. Now, I can figure out some other stuff on the fly, stabbing somebody in the back with a knife because they think it's Sam Gamgee. All right. I don't need a stat block to figure out mechanics for Sam Gamgee stabbing Frodo in the back because Frodo doesn't know Sam Gamgee is actually a freaking doppelganger. That is a lot of different cognitive load in that scene I just described, but that's pretty damn easy, right? Okay, so master of disguise. Let's take it somewhere else. So this is someone who's so good at it, he can be like walking right toward you and become you and mess with your mind at that moment because he's a master of disguise, not just good at it. Okay, I can start figuring something out about how to play that. Maybe we roll like competing int rolls or even competing charisma. And then you have that classic moment, like at the end of so many, not so great movies, the most recent of which, and which was surprisingly wonderful, was The Iron Mask, where you have a villain and a good guy who look identical and everybody's going, which one do I shoot in the face? All of us as dungeon masters can figure out how to roll that part. All I needed for my doppelganger was master of disguise. You see how this keyword sets me free to do my in the moment DIY. It doesn't just I'm not just making things up. Okay, but then you're like, yo, Hankrin, how many hit points this dude got? What if we figure out this isn't Sam Gamgee? What's his armor class? How quick is this guy? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can throw down some numbers. I'm all right with that. I'll throw down some numbers. So I'll just go down the line. You got an AC 12. He's got a knife in his little satchel, does 1d6. He's got 6 hit points. I mean, I'm done. Okay, it's kind of easy for like a level 2 guy in OSE. I'm starting to not only see it, but be reinforced about it, that we don't need to read this stuff. We know it. Especially if you've been DMing for a year or more, you probably are starting to see a lot of patterns and harmonics in the numbers and in the dice that you can easily just replicate to get similar experiences. The old myth that the game designers that are publishing books have some kind of crystal ball where they can see these amazing confluences of synergy in their numeric design, that myth is so debunked But you know that there are patterns in the math. And so the math is really not what you need to read in a book. What you need is that keyword. The doppelganger is a master of disguise, so much so he can imitate you while you're looking at him. Okay, I can figure the rest out. Second one, personality. Everything I just said about our doppelganger does not describe its personality. I don't think it's a person, really, a human. It's something else. Well, it's not a human. It's a doppelganger. So what is this thing's personality? And I think we have a pretty easy answer here because you guys know about these things. This is an alien sadist. An alien sadist. So now I'm sitting on like 7 words. What you do is important. Hey, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I'm trying not to look because I'm almost done. An alien sadist. That's personality. So first of all, keyword, master of disguise. Personality, alien sadist. This is all I need to write in my journal. But what exactly does that mean? How does that translate into the game? I don't fucking know. This is an alien creature. So it's not from our world and probably doesn't feel our emotions or appreciate our shit. So it's cold and calculated and yikes. But it's also a sadist? That's going to give players free rein to stab this thing. Sadistic inhuman creatures there is no moral damage with stabbing them. And that's good. I want that in my game. Moral dilemmas are interesting, but for this little guy, I want it to be pretty clear. This thing is nasty. It's a monster. Stab this thing and don't feel bad about it. Alien sadist. That's the personality. Now, obviously, you can get far more interesting with personality. Like in this one I'm looking at, imperious, easily flattered, a lover of music. Those are still seeds that really get you moving. But imperious? Ooh. What does that mean? So as we're coming around the table, this NPC or this monster is imperious. It's like sort of always sees the world as beneath it, like it has a manifest destiny to rule all those before it. Okay, well, then I have an idea of how to talk with it. This shit just works. 1, keyword. 2, personality. And now finally, this is where you get into the tactics of the monster, which is something we still haven't answered, right? We have our doppelganger who's going to turn into Sam Gamgee and sneak up behind Frodo and kill him. Oh, wait. I just said something on accident that covers our third piece, which is tactics. The wants. The wants of this thing. What does it want? What does our doppelganger want? It wants to kill the things it imitates. Maybe it wants to eat them or feed on their memories or something darker. It wants to attack from concealment. See, I can use its desire to a lot of the ideas. They appear in a lot of Ben's stuff, Jake. But I'm drawing directly from the Waking of Willoughby Hall, which you can get on Swordfish Islands. So the wants of the creature. You've got the keyword of the creature. What the fuck is this thing? You've got the personality of the creature, which is like, what is the nuance of how it behaves? And 3, you've got the wants. What is it doing? It's trying to stab Frodo. That's what it's doing. Why? Well, it's an alien sadist for one thing, and it's a master of disguise. So it's already Sam Gamgee, and he's going to wait till they're in Mordor too. He's going to make it dirty. He's going to let Frodo almost get there. And then he's just going to be like, because he wants to feed on all that fear. And now, see, my imagination just starts to let me run with it. Yeah, I'm going to need an attack bonus, but that's not what needs to be written down. I can figure out the attack bonus. Forget now. Well, hey, everybody sort of matters, right? I'm not sure. Thanks, Raymond. Joey, you misspelled fuck. Without any context, that's so funny to see. So anyways, you guys, I just wanted to share my enthusiasm with Ben's method, the cool intro method. Yesterday, this morning, moments ago. The cool spatial method. Here is an area, not a plot. And finally, the people or monster method, which is the keyword, the personality, and the wants of a thing, not the stat blocks. If you get into stat blocks and stuff, that's great too. I don't know about you guys. I don't have a lot of time or interest in writing complex stat blocks in my journal. Sometimes I'll make a note of like a key piece of gear or a key spell or something, but I'll just make some cheesy note. Like I'll write the number 4. And the number 4 just means, yeah, they got like a 14 armor class. They have +4 on their attacks. They do D4 damage or 1d6 +4, something like that. But there's just a 4. I know this sounds silly, but you're still working from a source. And the story is supreme, per Zila or Czar's comment there. But more so, I think what I'm highlighting tonight is that method not only saves you a bunch of work, but helps your mind wander away from the focus on something like the dang monster manual. If you're joining me in this journey toward games like Old School Essentials, the monster manual is no longer coming to the table. That mindset of thinking I need to open up the monster manual and look at a Dark Mantle page is leaving your mind. And believe me, you guys, I've been doing that shit for years with a capital Y. The Monster Manual is the only book I would bring to a session so that we're sort of playing, quote unquote, out of the book. But you know what? On the spot, I would always modify that stuff and ignore half of it. We all know that. Whether you want to admit it or not, all of us have ignored half those stuff on a big page-long entry about a Dark Mantle. What you need is the basics, and you need the feel, and you need to bring the fun, keep the energy rocking, get through it, and get to the next thing, and open the next door and see the nun who is covered in cobwebs, who has died in the position of prayer, somehow with a supreme power of will, is remaining upright in a prayer position, but has been dead for decades, if not centuries, with cobwebs running down on her black and white habit and a spider crawling out of one eye socket. That's not in the monster manual. That's not in any manual or any book. That's up here, and that's where the game happens. And Ben Milton, Questing Beast, is helping me remember that stuff, because that's how we did it when we were kids, teenagers. And this arc of journeying to today is bringing me back to that root. And that's like what last week was all about, that beginner's mind. And that is where I'm returning. And I just wanted to share my enthusiasm for some of these creative techniques with you guys. I hope that a lot of it feels obvious, because if a lot of the stuff I'm talking about feels obvious, like hankering, dude, you used to talk about so much innovative stuff. Now you're talking about like these kind of obvious, like basics of D&D. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I want you to feel that way, because that's what I'm excited about. It's going back to the punching the board, right? It's learning like 10 different styles of Kung Fu. You learn the monkey, you got the snake, you got the crane, right? Then you get the dragon, then you get the mantis. But then you're becoming an older master. And what do you come back to? Punching the board, but with the simplest movements, delivering the maximum amount of energy. Now that's a mastery story, that we're all familiar with. And I feel that's a cool journey for a dungeon master over the span of a few years or many years doing our awesome hobby. Yeah. So I hope you guys appreciate the change of heart or the change of style that I'm having right now, of saying, I'm not necessarily like, Mr. Innovator Pants. I'm also just enthusiastic about our hobby, even in its rudimentary form, where the Rubik's Cube only has a few blocks that are needed to be solved, right? When I started Drunkards and Dragons, I had a very much approach of like, here's how to solve the Rubik's Cube, guys. But now I'm more like, man, isn't it great when you sit down and the Rubik's Cube's just a big mess and you kind of just set it down and go have a cup of noodles? It's that Oogway shit, man. I'm going full Oogway on this. Yo, Eric, thank you. Eric, by the way, if you guys don't know Eric from Bloat Games, get over there, check it out. He does all kinds of crazy stuff. He sort of lives in like a modern mindset with his games, doing different sort of pop eras and parts of the country, at least for North America. And you should go check out what he does, because we collaborate. And also the stuff's quite interesting, because it's just a little bit of a twist on what a lot of us think this sort of hobby is. He has his own angle. So go check him out. And yes, Agre Day. Finally, somebody hollered about my t-shirt. Boom, that Holy Mountain beer though. What's up, White Lodge? Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate that. A great day. Man, you must be from Washington if your username is a great day. Or at least, maybe Oregon. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to open it up. It took me a solid hour to get that message across, but I just hope everybody feels what I feel like. The art of dungeon mastering is the art of journaling. And we all know that journaling is a pain in the ass. Writing things in pen is time consuming and it's a pain in the ass. So the less you can write to greater effect is a skill that as a dungeon master, I am constantly seeking, constantly. And I'm finding new leads and exploring new possibilities because I've been quite closed off to this so-called OSR movement for years now. And if you guys haven't seen WandaVision, let me wrap up with this and then we'll do questions. WandaVision, my favorite part of WandaVision is the sort of meme about normalizing, changing your stance when you get new information. So when the two visions meet, and sorry about the spoiler, but it's been quite a while now. When the two visions meet, they basically have a conversation and they change their momentum. They change their goal based on new information. This is something that we should feel comfortable about doing in our society, not revering people who become stubbornly set on one path no matter how much information is presented. One of the great things that I've always been a fan of reading military theory and military thinking throughout the years, and they always say that the top quality of a high performing military commander is to change his or her opinion when new information comes in. Essential to military command. And I think it's essential to living a good life. Just because I was sort of closed off to the OSR for years, it doesn't mean that it's wrong or weird for me to go, hey, wait a minute, this is kind of fucking awesome, and dive into it. That's not some kind of ding on me. And I want you guys to feel that same freedom and to share this same enthusiasm when you're discovering something that maybe you were closed off to before. All right. So that's where I'm at. Boom. Yeah. And it's the essence of science too. You get new data in, it's time to change your mind. All right. So as always, throw up. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it, man. As always, throw up an all caps question before you're, if you want to ask a question of old Hankering Fernhanger, that's me, Ingrid Bernal. For those of you who've been following me closely, you guys know that I am like neck deep in art projects right now. I've been really leaning into being an artist. My writer persona is just going to have to wait. And that's where I'm at. So thank you everybody for following, and go over to hankering.fernale on the gram. And that's really where you can see my day-to-day art feed. Okay. So, Andrew Strickland, Master Edition is coming along. The monster section is almost done after weeks. So for those of you who don't know, Index Card RPG is congealing into one nice, big, final, definitive book called Master Edition that you can have at your table if you play Index Card RPG. And it's just very meticulous work to take almost, 1,700 pages or something insane like that, and try to bring them down to a nice, tight little sort of 300 or 250 page book that covers everything and includes all these different journeys we've been on together. So yeah, it's coming along, but I don't put end dates on things. I just don't put end dates on things. Yeah, the Jarl, what's up? Have you played Legend of the Five Rings? What do you think about it? I have not. Oh man, I've heard much about that, but never got the opportunity. Jonathan Wolfs, you stated that you're on a Kickstarter consumer. Yeah, but I do like it as a creator. No, I don't. I did Kickstarter once, and I will not do it again. It's not for me. Getting my funding before I'm done is not healthy for my creative flow. I don't like it. You know, it causes like tax problems because the way that I work as just a sole person. I just don't like it. Something really counterintuitive about getting the funding before being done. Park, thanks, dude. Poor Nell. I feel like Nell really spun out of the Runehammer fun zone there. How's it been working on Remarkable? For those of you who don't know, all of Viking Death Squad, my new book, is drawn completely on a tablet called the Remarkable. I think it is the premier drawing tool if you are sort of a skilled or a very specific kind of ink artist. The Remarkable is absolutely amazing. I know a sequel came out, but mine is still lasting. Trying to get through them. Monomakes, what's up? My dice dude. Planning, what do you recommend for overarching story? I don't. I plan one session at a time, period. Spike Pit. Korg Volkas, any love? No, it looks cool, but I don't have one. I got my tools. I've played with DM and heard past games from a player who always ended up getting a PC versus PC fights. Get out of my group, or I'll just break the group up. PC versus PC fights means you're an asshole. I don't hang out with assholes. This game's over. David Carrington, I've been following for about 2 years. Finally have a group to do. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Any advice? Well, I just try to give as much as I could in an hour. I'll keep giving as much as I can. Matthew, exception. GM section is exceptional. I thought about doing generic. No, Matthew, I feel I said in a very succinct way what I wanted to say, and that section is revamped in the new Master Edition. Chris, thank you guys for all the tips. You guys are crazy. Stop it. Keep your money. When can we see more Viking Death Squad? Crow Goblin, if you go in for at least $1 on my Patreon and join our Discord server, you will see my daily feed of my art and development. No, I have not. If I made a Dark Sun video, you would see it. So yeah, join the Patreon if you want to see Viking Death Squad be developed. I post every single day. Thank you, Matt. Hey, how do you say thanks in Swiss? Is there? Yeah, what? It's got to be like a. Yeah, help me out. The crafting DM, my man. Made any terrain lately? No, I have not. I've been very pure in my sort of approach lately. I could actually show you some terrain. This is the map. This is my most recent terrain creation. So this is the Abbey. And then, actually, this goes over here. Underneath the Abbey down here, there's stairs down. And then, no, it goes over here. And then there's a reliquary underneath. There we go. That's my most recent terrain. That's how I've been doing it. I have been really getting back to the roots and having a great time with it. It's just been so awesome. Oh, Danke. Sure. Dankeschön. They speak German. There should be a language called Swiss. I mean, there's a cheese called Swiss. It's delicious, too, with all the holes in it and stuff. Can you throw out a tidbit for Runecon? Okay, Chris Fisk, thanks for bringing that up. By the way, real quick, Nave is awesome. Chris Fisk, thanks for asking. Now that we reached 1,000 patrons on my Patreon, which is unthinkable, I made a promise years ago that I'm going to have to follow up on, which is if we ever reached 1,000, I was going to host a small convention. And so now planning will begin. Now we got COVID to think about. I know everybody's getting vaccinated and stuff like that, but we're not out of the woods yet. We got to still take care of one another. We got to do all our COVID garbage for a little while longer so that, those among us who are either vulnerable or who, have a chance of really having something bad happen, we don't want to fuck anybody up. If you have had COVID, this is not something to fuck with. So be good to your neighbor and still be disciplined about your masks and all that shit. But as it starts to fade away, we're doing Runecon. It's actually not going to be called Runecon. It's going to be called Hankering's Hell. And it's kind of like a boot camp concept. So if you guys have ever been to like an intervention getaway, like in a cabin kind of environment, it's kind of what it's going to be like. We're going to dig into the deeper parts of our minds. We're going to like take ourselves to the edge and I'm going to start planning it. And so it's going to start very, very small. But we're going to get there. It begins. It's going to start in a small way to where we know it's going to be safe and we're going to start building it. But as of the moment that we went to 1,000 subscriber, this concept is being planned and it is underway. What does the Feihu rune on the Reliquary index card mean? Wow. Feihu is a rune that I use quite often. I use it both standard and inverted. I have it tattooed on my spine as well, standard and inverted. And it's kind of my abstract symbol for like dungeon master sinister intent that I haven't figured out yet. Does that make sense? No, it is not the ICRPG retreat because that is just a game and Runehammer is just a publisher. This is a retreat that I want to host for my friends and for people who are like-minded. It's not about any one thing. And I think that's very important. Quick dips for your first RPG publication. Yeah. Do not put an end date on it. Focus on quality and keep going until it's really fucking good. Always focus on and bounce it off as many smart people as you can. I have an old friend of mine, Dr. Steve Zeiler over at Johns Hopkins. He told me if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So find people that can give you solid critique and hang out with them. I see another one. I want to scroll. Have you taken a look at Ironsworn? Ironsworn is a little complex for me, and the sort of the photo-based art kind of throws me a little bit of a curveball, so not yet. Where do I buy tickets and what kind of beer? So DMG, you're going to have to make a long journey, bro. It's going to be in North America, but you're going to need strong beer for the nighttime and light beer for the morning. So, Guinness is perfect breakfast because, when they toast the malt, it cooks out all the sugar. Fermentation's a lot lighter. Anyway. 2.5 quick start book I made. Yes, it's damn wonderful. That's the cool red one. It's not a vaccine and it's experimental, blah, 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 blah. I'm not interested in what you're saying. Will you wake us up by banging on a trash can? Yes, something like that. I think you're getting the idea. Mark, ideas to make game sessions last longer. Boy, is that a thing? Is that a problem you're having? I feel like the smallest amount of content can take 5 hours. Someone to play for an hour at a time and some for, the difference in wanting to play a certain amount, I say play about 2.5 hours as a baseline. And that way everybody, because you always want them wanting more rather than playing too much. How would you approach rulings over rules? Well, it's kind of almost everything I just described. Like going with it is more important than anything that's written down. Chris, what do you do when you have DM's block? Take a break, walk away, think about something else. Seriously, it's the only answer. People ask me this a lot. I know it's a hard answer. Just quit doing DM stuff. Just walk away for at least 2-3 days. Will Chutney be an NPC? Yes. Actually, I'm going to have probably a Chutney portrait on my store pretty soon. How important is playtesting for a new system if people seem to bastardize the exact rules? I assume you mean bastardize like D20 rules. If you're using D20 as a core, playtesting is not terribly important. The further afield you go from proven mechanics, obviously the more playtesting is going to help. But playtesting really is not about rules. I hope you realize this. It's about wording. Your wording in your document is really what you're testing. And wording is far harder than mechanics. It's okay to just hug. I love your username. My friends seem to only be my friends when I'm running an RPG. When I'm not, they play their own games and haven't been inviting me. Then they're not your friends. That's very simple. These are punks. I don't know why. I know that it's hard to make good friends in this world, but fuck these people that don't fan your flames. Move on. Move to a new town and meet new people. There are great people out in the world. You don't have to put up with somebody treating you like shit. Stand up for yourself. Live a happy life. There are people out there who want to love you, but you got to move around. You can't just be in the same town forever. And I know that's asking a lot, but bang, there it is. Mark, what's up? When you started playing D&D, new DM to get tired from running the game. Yeah, it's a little bit draining no matter what, but it's my hobby. It's the thing I love doing the most. Besides hiking and surfing and being with my girl and eating great food and drinking great beer, this is it. I mean, this is something I love. So even when it's draining, I find it fascinating. Channel Mao, could you ever get behind my mother's recommendation to have a Guinness and milk for breakfast? No, fuck the milk. Get the milk out of there. Come on. That's crazy. I mean, maybe a little bit in there. Maybe a little cream in your Guinness. But after the coffee. You have the Guinness after the coffee. Did you abandon 3D terrain completely? I don't abandon anything. I'm just not doing it at the moment. It's just that simple. How are the peat moss futures? Oh, man, I'm telling you. Moss farming is coming, you guys. I was prophetic. Yeah. Thanks, King James. Question, what's Hankering's ideal number of sessions? There's no such thing. Again, I plan one session at a time. I don't think about a story arc. I don't think about some kind of big cool thing at the end. I don't do that stuff. One session. That's it. The next one. And really just setting it up. The players are the pilots of the ship. You're just the engineer. Mark, All my players are new to the game. Cool. So running longer sessions is tricky. I just really wish I could make my game sessions longer. Well, I advise taking time to speak through the fourth wall, taking time to speak meta, talking about what is possible for your players so that they're discussing things more. Also, turn up the danger. Nowadays, this fear about danger, like ending the game and stuff, the more players are afraid, the longer the sessions take. Cockhead. When can we get our hands on Viking Death Squad stickers? As soon as I get my online store built. I am but one man, one human man. But yes, there will be 6 stickers. I have a bunch of them. I'm really excited to start selling them. I know stickers just seems like stickers, seriously, dude. But as an artist, when you make a sticker that's a slam dunk, you know people will like, it really is an achievement. Yo, Paul, thanks. Hey, appreciate it. Planning a cliffhanger is almost impossible. That is the purview of writing books and TV shows and movies. Cliffhangers need to happen organically. Annalie, hey, it's been a while. Nice to see you up in there. Yeah, it's super sunny. I'll tell you, like, Washington is beautiful, by the way. It's like the greenest place in the world besides New Zealand. But woof, those clouds, I'll tell you. So the sun's out here if you want to come on out. Magazine all the way, Damien. The movie was okay, but mainly because like Tarna kind of carried it, and so did Den. And Lochnar. Okay, that's most of the movie. Damn, it was a good movie. Fuck. But the mag was so tight. Oh man, but Lochnar was dope. Whew. That's a tough one. Get out of here. It's too hard. Did you ever run a game one-on-one? Nah, that's not really how I do it. How do you stay focused and invested in a campaign, getting distracted by new shinies, new systems and stories? Beardy Beardson. Well, it's almost never about that. It's more about the friends involved, not necessarily the story. So if the friendship group is waning a little bit, then do I still ride? Yeah, well, I ride bicycle all the time, and motorcycle's about to come out of hibernation for spring. Ion Farmer, trying to keep up, you guys. How do you handle smites with the hardcore mode spell system? Don't use roll to cast, probably. It's too radical. Keep it old-fashioned, 1 per day. OSC strikes me as classic rules. Yeah. Rules Cyclopedia, one of my all-time favorite book. Can you suggest modules? No, I don't run modules, so I don't know much about them. I love Song of the Fen. It's the one I always talk about. But yeah, I don't run modules. I don't know how it's even possible. Players are just so flexible. Hopefully it isn't annoying that I ask a bunch of stuff. No, it's fine. Live Dungeon DJ. No, the Dungeon DJ is dead. It's gone. Part of COVID is that the DJing thing, the times have changed. And so keep an eye out, though. There's something coming that I think many of you will find surprising. I always am working on music projects. And so I think you're going to find something terrifying and surprising that I'm going to be revealing in a few months. I have a Harley. I have a 48. I listen to Red Fruit, and it felt like you're channeling Howard. He's absolutely an influence. Can I recommend other pop authors? Not besides the usuals, like get your Howard on and no, I don't. I mean, I love Edgar Rice Burroughs, but I don't read a ton of that stuff. I kind of read all over the place. I don't even really just read fantasy or sci-fi. I just read random things from all over the place. So no, I'm not really like a genre expert. Define OSR. That's funny. Why OSE? Also funny. Literally put several hours into talking about that. Luke Butler. Any latest reading inspiration other than OSE? Nope. I am reading some things that are sort of on personal topics that aren't really for like the Runehammer YouTube channel. So I wouldn't, get all into what I'm reading about my own personal exploration. So no, not really. I'm not like a reading machine. Sometimes I read a lot. Sometimes I don't. What do you think of the Snyder Cut? It's a terrible movie that's longer. Hey, so what happened to the Roll20 project? Well, I was going to do, oh, you mean the simpler version. Yeah, it's the RHVT. So the Runehammer Virtual Tabletop is now available. If you jump on the Patreon for $1, you get access, and your players don't even have to be patrons. So go check it out. We have our own custom-built Virtual Tabletop that is far simpler than Roll20, which is really fully ready to be announced. I mean, maybe that's a thing I'm doing tonight. I think I was going to wait a few days for that, but it's really kind of at its 1.0. It's ready for a lot more people to play. Michael Julius decided to do all caps. How do you stay focused and protected? Because don't look at the internet. Keep your screen time under half an hour a day on your phone, and cut everything out of your stupid social media feeds, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, that isn't about things you enjoy doing. Social media is no longer useful for staying in touch with people you might know. We are past that, everybody. We are past that. The internet is for your interests. It is a horrible place to foster personal relationships. It does not work. It has become a junkyard of garbage. Last year was a shitstorm of social media. Leave it behind. Clean it up. There's nothing wrong with social media. The problem is people keep all these people they don't even really know in their feeds. Have you heard of How Not to Die? Nope. Stupid question. Can you advise on how to draw a character sheet? Yeah, do it all by hand. Don't use drawing tools. Do it by hand. Is there such a thing as OSE, but with a modernized rule set? I'm not into the tables. Don't use the tables. OSE is really just a core of roll under, roll over with a couple other little tidbits. All the rest is not needed. It's all up here. Gotta go. Later, Paula or Paolo. Question. A couple more, and then let's get out of here. The goal of returning to the beginner mindset is wonderful. Thank you, Bob. Would you encourage... Oh, Bob World Builder. Dude, your videos are so fun, man. Great to see you in the stream. I love your stuff. Would you encourage beginners to say unclouded by rule books? Or encourage... Yes, absolutely. I would say the beginner is the one who's the most challenged by books, because there's some kind of perception that they need to understand so much material, rather than just getting the D20 rollover basic concept and then putting everything away and just inventing their own monsters and their own craziness and learning that way. And as their skill grows, they start thinking about, ooh, I wonder what other creative people had to say. And that's when they delve into the books. I think the beginner mind is perfect for self-creation, because there is no right way. And so you're free. Now, if people aren't having fun, yeah, that's the wrong way. But I honestly feel that the beginner doesn't hit that very often. Trying to play out of a book is less fun than a beginner coming up with some oddball mechanic. Logos, you're just going to have to try it. I was just sort of the concept director on the project, and then our man Glock did all the engineering. And Kriba, also another user, sort of built. You just have to go look. It's just very simple. But I have done software development for many years, and so I'm really used to knowing my priorities with a dev project. Have you run dead PCs as ghosts and spirits? Absolutely. Gil Sunder and many others. Dead PCs coming back as ghosts or as drifting corpses is always fun. I think that there we go. I think we made it. Whew. All right. Great Cthulhu. And Mark, you're going to bring any chances there might be a mainframe podcast again? I'm not sure. I lose interest in what I do if I do the same thing over and over. So I need to change it up. And so I'm doing these Friday live streams and sort of letting the podcast sit. I mean, I did 71 episodes. It's like 80 hours of podcasting. And I feel good about it. It was a great project, but I don't need to podcast until I'm like, old and gray. So I know people liked it. And I appreciate that, Great Cthulhu. But, a lot of people ask me, how do you avoid burnout and stuff? It's just by letting yourself change, being organic, following your nose, not thinking you have to be the same and do what people expect of you. You don't. Just be happy, know yourself, and find solace in being yourself and following your interests. Don't fall into this weird trap where you think you have to do what people want you to do. It's okay. You can find new beauty in other realms. So as a new group of players and DMs, I shouldn't run stuff exactly? Absolutely not, Mark. Put all that stuff away. Put it all away. Businesses want to sell you products. That doesn't mean that it's going to be the most fun at the table. Here's a new 300-page book about Chult. It's just like, what am I supposed to do? No, the greatest games have always been made by reading on the cues of the players and prepping one more session or a little bit of an idea. That's it. They cannot sell you our hobby, especially now that the core rules of almost every decent system out there are free. There's the nugget. Okay, great. Whew, that's it. Dungeon DJ was fun. But yeah, c'est la vie. Starships, just wait till you see what's coming next, because that's all I can say for now. That is it for me, you guys. It's been an hour and a half. I got to get out of here. I'm parched. 1,000 subscriber. I got 1,001. April 10th is coming up, you guys. April 10th is the 5-year anniversary that I've been Runehammer full-time, that I quit my real job and have been doing just this. And it's all thanks to you guys and all my supporters and people who are playing Index Card RPG and all that other stuff. And I owe you everything you see in this little rectangle and much more, believe me. So that's April 10th is what I call Runehammer Day. We kind of call it that here in the house. It's a Saturday this year, so we're bound to make a bunch of terrible decisions and have a horrific hangover on April 11th. But 5 years, when I started this, I got some really hardcore doubt that came at me from people that I believed in, and said that it would never work out and I was crazy and stuff like that. And I think even I was telling myself that a little bit. So to be here at 5 years of doing this is crazy. And my gratitude and gratefulness for this whole lifestyle is infinite. And that's the tone I want to share on these Friday night streams. It's just like, have fun with this shit, shiny side up. And let's come out of this. 2020 was a dark freaking cave, you guys, a dark cave. It was tough in more ways than I think. I think it's going to take us years to even understand how tough that really was and how sad and painful that was for everyone on this little round planet of ours. And so let's come up out of it and let's remember the people that didn't make it, and let's make our lives and those around us just a little bit better to honor those people that didn't make it. All right. And let's live hard and freaking roll some bones and have a good time doing it. Strength, honor, and beer always. Thank you guys for tuning into Runehammer, Drunkards and Dragons. I'm hankering for an Ingrid Bernal. That's me. Final plug, the Mecha Hack sequel, the mission manual, just came out. It just plopped. It was on Kickstarter a ways back. I did all the art for that book. They did a killer job. And it's also like really playable content, which I love to see in a little book, is like not just a bunch of esoterics, but like play this. So if you're into playing like, giant mech battles like Pacific Rim style, this is the book for you. Look it up. It's by Absolute Tabletop. Just came out. You guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in as always. So fun to answer questions, see all your crazy comments, talk to you guys. Thank you so much for throwing money at my local food bank. If you can, throw some money at the food bank in your area. Help people that need to get something to eat this weekend. There are families who can always use some help, and they're just like us. So let's all stick together. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Hasta la vista. I'll see you next time. I'm out. Peace.